Hello, BookTube. I thought we'd go through a heat wave mail haul here. It's Tuesday, and it's 100 degrees here in Boston, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Murderously hot. But I do have some packages, and I'm getting a good Steve vibe off of quite a few of them. So it's only a few packages, but it could be some still-worthy stuff. So let's see what this first one is. Oh, it's a mob biography. Okay, this comes out in November. I would ordinarily look askance, but 2018 has been the year where I find great biographies in the least likely places, so this could be one of those things. This is by Lee Server, and it is Handsome Johnny. The Life and Death of Johnny Rosselli, gentleman gangster, Hollywood producer, CIA assassin. Lee Server's in-depth research and brilliant writing have earned him high acclaim in his biographies of Ava Gardner and Robert Mitchum. Now he turns his laser focus to a singular character in the annals of American underworld, Johnny Rosselli. In a richly layered and compelling biography, Server unspools the life of a man who rose from the humblest beginnings to become the protege of Al Capone, and eventually the mob's man in Hollywood, even producing two of the best film noirs of the 1940s. Server reveals previously unknown details about the close ties between organized crime and big studio Hollywood, the plot to extort the entire movie industry and subvert the Hollywood union, the syndicate's secret sponsorship of Columbia Pictures, and a massive extortion deal that eventually landed Rosselli and his associates in federal prison. Okay, well, all right. So this comes out in November. I will read it closer to the time, as is always the case with biographies of evil people. You want to make sure that you hope that the author has not succumbed. You hope that Lee Server, for instance, in this case, did all the original research, broke all sorts of new ground, talked to all sorts of people, interviewed all sorts of remaining witnesses, but never lost sight of the fact that he was writing a biography of a killer, of an evil person. I'll just have to hope. I gotta say, though, the one type of book, or movie, or TV show, or TV series, where that black and white acknowledgement of what is obvious on the face of it breaks down is when dealing with the mob. I think there's an entire generation of young American men who consider Tony Soprano to be a hero. So we'll have to see. It's always a worry that I have going into books like this. We got this big thing here. You want that, eh? Oh, okay, great. All right, we saw this already. This is a finished copy of something that comes out in September. This is The Field of Blood by Joanne Freeman. This is a history of the volatile U.S. Congress on the way to the American Civil War, when the tensions that were running through the country and driving everyone crazy, the sort of weird, amorphous expectation of a bloodbath, of a national bloodbath. No one could have guessed how bad it would be, but there was that feeling in the air, and that feeling was reflected in Congress, where there were shouts, fights, all sorts of violence. After more than 15 years of research and writing, the author has uncovered roughly 70 physically violent incidents in the House and Senate chamber in the pre-Civil War decades, most of them long forgotten. This book is filled with congressmen throwing punches, toppling desks, brawling, brandishing guns and knives, and occasionally engaging in duels. Wow, okay. I have the advanced copy of this, and I haven't read it yet. That's terrible. That's a familiar refrain. It's because I've been putting so much effort into August books that I've been remiss on September books. But I will move steadily along. I will correct. You want that? Oh. Okay. Okay. This is Codex 1962 by Sjon, or however you pronounce Sjon, or however you say this author's name. This also comes out in September. I have a feeling that this is going to be just more of the same, but I confess I haven't got to it yet. This is a trilogy in a single volume. It is an intricate era and continent-spanning tale in which a lonely German maid in World War II boarding house, Icelandic seafarers, angels, murderers, fascists, ghosts, professional wrestlers turned theologians, and biotech CEOs all have a part to play. And when I first told you about this book, all I did was mention that the author's previous book translated into English I thought was awful. Just awful. The word I've been getting about this book in the interval is that it's at least incredibly ambitious, as you can probably tell from that brief little sketch there, and that it's worth my time. I've been having a couple of old friends of mine who read my excoriation of his last book, sort of asking me, pleading with me, please, give this another try. They liked that original book. They know that I didn't, and I don't know what they're worried about. I give authors second, third, and fourth, and fifth tries all the time. The fact that I hated someone's last book means nothing about whether or not I'll read their next one with an open mind. And these people ought to know that. Maybe they just encounter it so seldom. But this has had lots of praise, so I will give it a try. I confess I haven't been eager to jump right into it, but now's the time. So. Okay, so that's 2 finished copies, and we move on to this thing. Okay, great. I requested this. This is by Sharma Shields, who did the Sasquatch Hunter's Almanac that I really liked. It's a book I really liked. I don't think I ever talked about it on this channel, but this comes out in February. This comes out next year. And it is the Cassandra, the mechanical typewriter on the cover. Those of you youngins who don't know what that is, that's a mechanical typewriter. If you go to a museum of technology, you'll see one behind glass. This book is a smart, feminist literary book of the season. Part historical fiction and part magical realism, the novel follows Mildred Groves as she takes a job at a mysterious government research facility during World War II. Thrilled to be part of an important aspect of the war effort, Groves soon realizes that her co-workers are capable of extreme evil. Okay. She is an unusual woman, gifted and cursed with the ability to see the future, hence the title. Mildred runs away from home to take a secretary position at the Hanford Research Center in the early 1940s. Hanford, a massive construction camp on the banks of the Columbia River in remote south-central Washington, exists to test and manufacture a mysterious product that will aid the war effort. Only the top generals and scientists know that this product is processed plutonium for use in the first atomic bombs. Okay, that's fantastic. I won't be getting to it until next year, but that's great. Always happy. I mean, like I mentioned with the previous book, I will always give an author another try, but I always like it if the author has, of course it's a nice thing if the author has a really good track record that feels a little better, unless they come off that really good track record and disappoint. That's never happy. But then we've got this last one here, and then we'll be done. This thing's heavy as could be. Could be more than one book. You want a piece of this, huh? No, you want a piece of this? Ooh, what's that? No, it's one book, all right. It's one freak-enormous book. Okay. All right. All right, calm yourselves. This is a 1,000-page biography of Winston Churchill by Andrew Roberts, whose last book was a 1,000-page biography of Napoleon Bonaparte that actually sold well. It did well on both sides of the Atlantic, unexpectedly well, I think. And here we are again. Now, Napoleon biographies are a dime a dozen. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Same thing with Churchill. The thing I like to think that the reason why that Napoleon biography did so well is because Andrew Roberts is a fantastic writer. I'd like to think that still means something. He's a terrific crafter of prose. And one of the only authors I know alive today who can make 1,000 pages fly by. And I'm assuming he's going to do the same thing again with Churchill. So we will see. When we seek an example of unalloyed courage, oh God help us. The man who comes to mind is Winston Churchill. Not for me, no. Not for me, no. The visionary leader, immune from the consensus of the day, who stood firmly for his beliefs when everyone doubted him. But how did young Winston become Churchill? What gave him the strength to take on the superior force of Nazi Germany, when bombs rained on London and so many others caved? In his previous book, The Storm of War, Roberts gave us a tantalizing glimpse of Churchill the war leader. The Storm of War is really good. If you see it in a used bookstore or at your library, The Storm of War is really good. Now we have the full and definitive biography. This is as personally revealing as it is compulsively readable. I can guarantee you the compulsively readable. This author never lets you down. Roberts looks at what made Churchill ultimately successful and assesses how we learn from his mistakes and harness the experiences of his life to serve his country. Okay. All right, so this is the full Megillah. This comes out in mid-November, right in time for the holiday book sales. By a terrific author. A big, accessible subject by a terrific author. So, that's great. That's fantastic. I really want to review this. We will just see where and when and at what extent I do. So that's our mail haul on this boiling hot day. We have Andrew Roberts' book on Churchill, his huge biography of Churchill. We have the Cassandra, about... well, it starts off being about processed plutonium. I'd be willing to bet with this author that there's a lot more involved than that. Then Codex 1962 in a finished copy. The Field of Blood in a finished copy. And Johnny Handsome, a new biography of Johnny Rosselli, who did nothing his whole life but kill people and pressure people and blackmail people. So I'm really hoping that this is not a book about Johnny Rosselli, the hero. But we shall see. I will report back. So that's it. That's it for the mail. I'm just gonna go back to taking it easy here, trying to keep a little whirlwind of a dog from overexerting herself, which is, she'd pay a high price for such overexertion, but it's impossible to explain it to her. We'll muddle through. As far as I can see from the weather forecast, it's Tuesday now. By the weekend, this weather like this will be a distant memory. By the weekend, the weather will be completely different. So we shall see. I will report back. And in the meantime, I will see you soon. Thank you, folks.